Hello, it's really nice to be back today doing a review instead of an unboxing. Now, the same as many people growing up in the 80s, one of my first watches was a Casio. It was one of those little digital jobbies that had a light on it, which meant that you could use that at any time of the day or night and drive your parents absolutely crazy. Needless to say, I loved it. So I've been without a Casio for several years, but since I got back into watches, I've been keeping an eye out for a Casio or two to add to my collection. And wouldn't you know it, they're like buses. Nothing for ages. Then I saw the Casioak and managed to find one at a reasonable price, which is still fairly difficult in some parts of the world. And more on that one later. And the second one to catch my eye almost immediately after was this full red iron-plated Gshock 5000 series. So let's get it out of the box. So inside the box we've got the guarantee card and instruction manual and a couple of other bits of paper. Then you've got the tin box, and inside the tin box, voila, you've got the watch. So this watch is iron plated, which is really a fancy name for applying a thin layer of a metal to the stainless steel of the case. But the color is actually something else here. It's one of those watches that really need to be seen in person to really appreciate, I think, as it's quite difficult to catch how this watch really plays with the light on camera. But nevertheless, I'm going to try and give it a go. So throughout this video, I've got the watch in a few different environments, which will hopefully help to give you an idea of how this watch changes depending on the lighting conditions. So onto the tech specs, which are on screen now. So the diameter of the watch is just over 43 mils and the lug to lug is about 49. The watch has a thickness of about 13 mil, though it seems to wear a bit thinner than that when you're wearing it. Overall, the size is really good, and I'll show you that on the wrist in a little while. The crystal is mineral glass. And that's a little bit disappointing considering the price of this watch. You'd really hope for sapphire if possible. But the stainless steel bracelet and case work pretty well, especially in this colorway. And the watch is rated to 200 meters for water resistance, so it's pretty easy to take swimming, which I have done already. And it passed with flying colors. So the watch has Bluetooth, so it can get perfect time from your phone when it's synced up to the app. And it's solar powered, so it's pretty much indestructible for most normal use over a period of 5 to 10 years at least, I'd say. Cost wise, it's about 600 USD and 849 Singapore dollars. That's the RRP. You might be able to get it a bit cheaper. So here's the watch in my 6 3/4 inch wrist, and this is almost a perfect size for me. So the bracelet really fits well, and it's comfortable in a range of conditions from tropical heat to Arctic air conditioning, and that's without even having to use the micro adjusts. Now it's let down a little bit by the clasp, which is milled. It does the job perfectly okay, but obviously it isn't that spectacular. And frankly, you'd expect a little bit more for your money. And one thing to note is that the bracelet and the watch do tend to pick up fingerprints and oils from your skin really easily, so you'll spend a fair amount of time cleaning it. However, it's a small price to pay for the color of this model, which is absolutely stunning, as this shot shows. Here's one of the difficulties with this watch. It's really difficult to take pictures or video of it that actually catches how this watch plays with the light. And this video on my iPhone is just about the best I've been able to do. So as you can see, while the watch itself is red nominally, if you get the lighting right, you can see oranges and yellows and a sort of a chrome effect, which is fantastic. So given all these colors, I ended up giving this watch a name, Optimus, after Optimus Prime. There's just something about the colors that reminds me of him. So, should you get this watch? Well, the first thing to consider is the price. Now, these full metal 5000 series watches are not by any means cheap. This metal one was about 850 Singapore dollars, and you can pick up a resin one for about a third of that price. So there's a really significant premium on the metal versus the resin, as there really is no difference in the functionality between the resin and the metal versions. So you really have to ask yourself, if a metal version of the watch, which is obviously a little bit heavier as well, will work for you, and only you can answer that question. Also, while it is just as durable as other G-Shocks, the iron-plated coating might suffer scratches over time, and it might also fade. Now, if we were talking about a Rolex here, then that wouldn't necessarily be an issue, but this is a G-Shock, and I'm not entirely sure if that kind of patination will attract collectors in the future. Of course, if you do want a metal watch, but you're worried about fading, etc., then just go for the plain metal watch. That way you won't have to worry about the long-term durability of the coating layer. Having said all that, if you're looking for a fun watch to add to your collection that is also surprisingly versatile and just about up for anything, then this really is something that's worthwhile giving a try, or at least a try on in the shop. Now, there are other colors as well, so it doesn't have to be red. And you never know, you might look at one of those and think that's the one for you. But for me, I think Optimus really nails it. It's really fun to look at, but it's tough enough to wear pretty much anywhere you want, especially when I'm helping take care of our 2-year-old and our 4-year-old. So that's it from me. What do you guys think of these Casios? Particularly the red one. Please leave your comments below, and if you like this video, please also subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching.